BB851, turn right, heading 180. 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
An airline that has continuously been hit hard throughout the pandemic has been the Australian flag carrier, and definitely the most prominent Australian airline, Qantas. In March of 2020, at the beginning of this disgusting period, their international network, like many others, was stripped back to its bare bones. However, due to tight Australian border restrictions for Qantas, while their network is beginning to look more like usual, there's still a significant number of holes that do need filling. Unfortunately, however, these are holes that are seemingly at the moment unattainable due to restrictions in place. Qantas has reported substantial domestic numbers on pre-pandemic levels in recent quarters, thanks to the easing of restrictions within the country, allowing for, finally, travel to resume without quarantine between some states, especially that of New South Wales and Victoria, which has allowed for the highly popular Melbourne to Sydney service to relaunch with passengers multiple times per day. There are still routes missing or running near on empty. Now, however, they're going to be cutting 10% of their capacity on their domestic network as they see border restrictions continue in Western Australia. This is a state that is still locking people out and has indicated no sign of slowing down with this process. Naturally, this severely hampers Qantas' own plans domestically and internationally, with Perth before the pandemic acting as a gateway to Europe without needing to go through Asia. It was a great place for Qantas to have a lot of their international operations go through, and Qantas were going to continue with that. So sticking on an international sense for Qantas, they will now likely be forced to delay their Perth to London non-stop service, as well as future growth plans. This service to London has been operating through Darwin and was meant to return to Perth in March of this year. However, with the border closures extending, this will now likely not be possible, and an extension on operations through Darwin will likely be given. Qantas is already communicating with the Northern Territory government to work out a plan. However, of course, their international network does not just consist of those flights to London. Perth is also a gateway for this year's highly anticipated Sydney to Rome flights via Perth, which will see Qantas finally return to Italy. With a launch date set for June for this particular service and no word on borders being eased, it could also end up going through another location, with Darwin, Singapore, and others being tipped as the stopover point. Ultimately, the decision to extend the border closures by Western Australia has not gone down well with the Qantas CEO, noting that it is utterly ridiculous and concerning that this is still going on. For Qantas, while other areas definitely show vital recovery signs, are definitely positive ones as well, and they get their A380 back flying, other areas are continuing to lack, especially on the country's east coast, and that's where the focus has been generally for today's video. So with that being said, what is your take on the situation at the Australian carrier that is continuing to struggle with border restrictions, and I guess you could say the constant flip-flop nature of governments within the country? Do let me know down below in the comments and how you also believe it will affect their Sydney to Rome service that would originally be going through Perth, and of course that Perth to London. Thanks for watching, do take care and be safe, and I'll see you next time.